If there's one thing I'm good at after 7 years of being a trader, it's definitely figuring out what actually matters in this game and what's a complete waste of time. Now, I started trading at 18 as a complete beginner, almost blowing up small accounts and chasing every single trade idea on YouTube. I went full time at 20 by building systematic strategies in Python, specifically in the small cap niche, and then I moved into automating everything across crypto, futures, and equities. And somewhere along the way, the whole thing started to click. Now, I just turned 25 and I'm trading a fully algorithmic portfolio full time with around mid six figures. I moved to Dubai around 2 years ago, and now I'm traveling around Asia while running all of this from a small desktop and a monitor I bought from an Asian market. Now, I've been able to help my family in real ways, and I'm slowly setting myself up for a life I genuinely enjoy. But don't get me wrong, I still work very hard at this every single day because the outcomes I'm chasing are bigger than what I've already hit. Now, what I wanted to do today is make a video for those of you who are already trading, or those who maybe want to start, or those who are somewhere in the middle and something just isn't clicking for you just yet. Now, I'm not going to promise you anything fake, but if you can actually take notes on what I'm about to share, there's no reason you can't avoid years of mistakes I personally made and be in a much better place in a few months or maybe a few years from now. Now, here are 13 things I would tell my 18-year-old self if I could sit down with him today. So let's get straight into this. Just to give you a bit more context about what I personally run, I currently run 9 automated strategies across crypto, futures, and equities. And this is what April's performance looked like running on about mid six figures. Every single lesson from this particular video is going to apply in some way to my own portfolio, and I'll also be sharing more about my portfolio throughout the video. Now, lesson 1 is explain your edge in 5 minutes. Ideally, if you can't explain your edge in 5 minutes, you most likely don't have one. And especially if you're a newer trader, this is often where you can easily catch yourself in a lie. Now, what do I actually mean by a real edge? Well, it's understanding why does your particular strategy make money in the markets? There's 3 main questions you can ask yourself, and then I'll kind of help you answer these as well. But primarily one is, why does the strategy actually make money? Is there a particular reason why? For example, is it a risk premium? What a risk premium is you're getting paid for taking on a certain amount of risk. These are a lot of classic strategies like trend following and momentum, for example. And then the second question is, who's on the other side losing from it? Maybe you're doing an arbitrage strategy. In the obvious case, you are being able to exploit 2 particular exchanges. And then 3, what are they doing wrong that you're doing right? In arbitrage example, it's very clear to kind of see that one exchange is mispricing a particular asset and you're able to exploit that. Now, some strategies are going to be more complicated to explain or a bit harder to grasp, but most of the time they're going to root back to a central idea. Maybe it is a price insensitive buyer is doing something that you can personally exploit and they're on the losing side of it, but they maybe don't care that much because they're setting up for a position that's, months hold or something like that. And this is a really big kind of point. Most people start trading and really have no idea why they're supposed to make money with their particular strategy, and they're just kind of guessing the whole way, and if they get some P&L, they think it's good. But P&L doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something right in trading, because in the short term in trading, it's very easy to get lucky, make some P&L, and think you're suddenly very good. Now, lesson number 2 is trading takes 3 to 4 years to know if you're actually any good. Most people think you'll know in 6 months if you've really seen some solid progress. Most of the time, they're kind of wrong. 6 months is often way too early to tell if you actually have a strategy or you have a process that is really working in the markets. One good quarter is also a similar thing. I've had many great quarters, but realistically, over the 7 years I've been trading now, only the past maybe 2, I've really felt more confident in my own strategies and trading process because I've just been at it for a very long time. And 3 to 4 years is where you really have enough sample size to say, hey, yes, I'm doing something quite well. To even take this to the extremes, one of the best hedge fund managers, Drew Miller, actually says he didn't really feel comfortable in his trading until he was around a decade into his trading. And over that whole decade, he had amazing results, but he still felt like imposter syndrome until around year 10, year 11. So please do reset your expectations, and the journey is going to become a lot more manageable if you know that it's going to take a long time. If you keep on trying to rush it, it's going to often create this kind of feeling of crushing within you. Now, lesson 3 is comfort and returns are inversely related. A lot of trading is taking a premium for the risk you're taking, and sometimes that risk isn't even understood by the trader holding it. A simple graph I created for this, as you can see here on the left-hand side is returns, then on the right-hand side is comfort, and you can kind of see they're inversely correlated. The less comfort you're going to have is most likely the ability to create higher returns, and what comfort normally means is the amount of volatility you're taking on. If there is a ton of volatility, it definitely means you have opportunities to make a ton of returns, but it also means you can lose a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of volatility intraday and also on the daily on that particular strategy. So your portfolio is naturally going to be difficult to hold, and that's really a part of the game. Even if you are doing something that's quite high comfort, there's still going to be a bit of volatility, but where most traders sit is kind of like in this middle section. For example, a trend following strategy. You're not getting the highest returns possible, and you're also not in the comfort land where you're basically just doing like bonds or something like that. You're kind of normally in between where you're going to get a bit of volatility. You're going to have days where you go down, there's going to be days where you're up, and you're going to have to handle that natural flow. Lesson number 4 is process beats outcome. A good trade can lose and a bad trade can win. Short-term results are mostly just noise. The only thing you can actually control is whether you've executed the edge and whether you've controlled your risk. Ideally, try and judge yourself on the process, and the outcomes will follow naturally over time. For example, good process and a win is the edge is working. Good process and a loss, this is fine. It's just variance. It's going to be natural with any edge that you're going to take losing trades. If you did bad process and a win though, this is probably one of the most dangerous outcomes because so many people get overconfident and think, hey, that worked, I'm going to repeat that again. But at some point, the market is going to humble you on that particular experience. I'm speaking about this many times where I've had in the earlier years, I did something that definitely didn't actually make sense long term, but it made a losing trade into a winning trade for me. And then I had a very bad loss, a couple weeks later from that exact same process. Now, lesson number 5 is one strategy is unstable. A portfolio is a business, and that's what you want to be achieving in trading. Stop trying to chase the 1000x setup or the holy grail. There really isn't one perfect strategy that's going to make you a ton of money. It's normally going to be a collection of uncorrelated ones running across different instruments, timeframes, and styles. For example, here's what my April results actually look like. These were 9 different strategies that executed over April across crypto, futures, and equities. As we can see here, the top performing strategy for me was a mean reversion strategy that gave me about 5.3% in profit over on the overall portfolio, and it had a drawdown of about 12 grand, so about a 3% give or take drawdown. But then my worst strategy was ironically a trend strategy, which lost me about almost 3.5% and was also had a very bad drawdown of about 22 grand, which was about 5.6%. If I was just running this trend strategy, for example, last month would have been a very bad month, but because I'm running multiple different strategies in multiple different markets, these can be added all up together and get me actually a really decent result, which is about 13%. Please do notice the mix of mean reversion, trend, breakout, for example. Some of these are +5 gains and some of them are losses, and that's really the whole point of a portfolio. Additionally, this is where correlation really matters. If I was running 9 strategies, but they were all basically doing the same thing and they were on the exact same ticker or the exact same kind of market, I'm going to be incredibly correlated, meaning, if one does well, they're going to all do well, or if one does bad, all of them are going to do bad. So when I actually run a correlation matrix, it's just a fancy word basically to see what strategies are correlated in my portfolio. You can see here everything's green, and green, at least in my visualization, is good, meaning it's a low correlation, sometimes even negative correlation, which is ideally what you want. You can see how each cell kind of moves together between 2 strategies. Green and low numbers means one bot is losing and another one is often winning at the exact same time. And even after 7 years, I'm definitely not perfect. I actually had to remove one strategy recently because it was correlated over the past quarter and a bit. So overall, it didn't make sense for me to run it because if it was correlated and I already had other strategies doing a similar function, I can just remove it and focus more on these particular strategies with my allocations. And this is also a big part that resulted in a lot smoother an exit curve over April for me. Now, the next lesson is the marginal trader is always improving. This is an uncomfortable truth most people don't really like to say, but it's not enough to be good. You have to get better at a rate that the field is getting better, and the field is improving faster than you most likely think. Being still in trading is often death. If you stop learning, you're normally falling behind. And the reason for this is any strategy in trading is naturally slowly dying. Some strategies are dying very slowly, some strategies are dying a lot faster. And if you're not improving in some elements, the rest of the market is going to be improving and moving allocations in different ways. So you're going to have to spend time researching and trying out new strategies while adding them into your portfolio. Lesson 7 is position size kills more counts than bad entries. You can have a great edge and still go broke if you size like an idiot. And this is a very underrated point. You could have a fully profitable strategy that's got a 90% win rate or whatever, but if you size it improperly, you're going to blow up at some point. Ideally, what you should be doing is sizing about 1% risk per trade. You could even do lower. Slightly, you can do a bit higher if you have maybe a smaller account. But if you're doing anything like 10%, 50%, it's just a natural ebb and flow until you blow up or really take a size off your kind of a capital. Additionally, please don't take my word for it. You can look up so many traders in history and also even on Twitter and stuff like that, where you can see them blow up in real time. And that's normally because they're sizing super aggressive. They show you a P&L that says, hey, I made 2 million, from 10 grand or something in the past month. But then you'll see, a couple months later, they keep on doing that. If the market turns or whatever their strategy stops working, and suddenly they're back to, 10 grand or even negative, or they've gone into debt. And I know it sounds extreme, but I've seen it personally with many of the people I've kind of known in the space grow over the time, and many of them do blow up. Your goal in trading is to survive the variance. Most things will always revert. Most things will always improve in the future, and you need to be able to survive the tons of volatility and variance within that time, and that normally means sizing lower than you really want to. Lesson 8 are drawdowns or the cost of being in this game. Every strategy has a worse day, every trader has a worse month, or even a worse year. You're going to have drawdowns in this game. So many traders, and especially newer traders, I see try and take a particular strategy of theirs and optimize it 1,000 times until there's barely any drawdown and they think that's going to work live. Most of the time, that's not going to work. Every good strategy of mine has drawdowns. As you saw this month, I was down, about almost 4% on one particular strategy. That's a decent chunk. It's a decent amount of kind of drawdown, especially in just 30 days. But that's a natural ebb and flow of most of these strategies. And the worst thing you can do in a drawdown is panic and abandon the system. And this links to the previous lesson. If I was sized way too aggressively on a particular strategy, then when I go into that drawdown, I'm going to start panicking. I'm going to start thinking the strategy's not working, and I'm going to change it or I'm going to remove it. And then I'm just stuck with that loss and it's never going to recover. Lesson number 9 is overfitting is the enemy. A backtest with a 9 Sharpe ratio and 0 losing months is not a strategy. It is a curve fit fairy tale. You're not going to actually have that working on a live market. So what exactly do I mean by overfitting? Well, it's when you tune your strategy so perfectly to past data that it has basically 0 predictive power on future or general data, so out of sample data. And one way to easily test this is just doing out of sample testing. You can also do things like parameter sensitivity testing and walk forward analysis. These are personally non-negotiables, and I have full videos on these particular techniques on this channel, so be sure to check them out after this video. And if you do skip these steps, you're most likely not building a strategy. You're going to be building something that looks pretty to you. It looks like a good fantasy that, hey, you're going to be rich in a couple of months, but it's not actually going to work live. Lesson number 10 is edges decay, and that's pretty much always. Often, a good way to think about it is you don't own a trade, you don't own a strategy, you're more of a caretaker or a manager of that particular business. Every strategy you build will have a half-life of some extent. There's going to be either competition that's going to arrive, which is going to erode it, or maybe costs catch up and it just is no longer a viable strategy, or the market adapts and it just, doesn't work anymore. For example, a lot of strategies in 2020 just don't work anymore because it's a completely different market environment, and while we are in a pretty strong bullish market, it's still quite a different market to 2020. So the key point here is you have to stay ready to adapt and find new ones. The people that sell you trading as a, you set up one strategy, you take a trade a day and you're done for life isn't very true. Maybe it could last a year, maybe even 2 years, but at some point there's going to be some adapting you're going to have to do where you're going to have to change your process / change your strategy to actually, something that works in the current market. It's also another reason why I love portfolios. I'm never going to be able to perfectly time a strategy of when it's going to die or when it's going to come back alive. So having a portfolio of strategies that are uncorrelated gives me the best chance of that. Lesson 11 is deployed beats a beautiful backtest. You'll learn way more from deploying one particular mediocre algo strategy than, doing 10 beautiful backtests. I see so many traders get stuck in the backtesting process where it is a really important thing. I have a whole course around backtesting. It's not a very exciting course. There's a lot of technical stuff. But still, you want to be able to get good at backtesting, but then you want to deploy that strategy and take it live. You don't want to keep on fiddling with it and trying to get it perfect. And there's also some things a backtest is never really going to be able to teach you. For example, real slippage on your actual orders. You need to get a strategy live there to see what is the realistic slippage amount on your particular strategy. Additionally, you won't know how your broker fills you or if there's any broker complications when you're actually trying to deploy it. Then you may actually have things like exchange quirks or random API outages or random API behavior you've never seen before. The list goes on and on. Don't skip this. Just try and deploy something, even if it is a bit ugly. And even if you think, hey, well, these results aren't going to make me a millionaire, they're just kind of standard results. I still would say you're going to learn so much from that process of deploying it and getting it live. I really do advocate it for it. Just of course, do it with appropriate size and don't do it, don't risk all your money on it. Additionally, this is the exact thing we focus on inside of the Crypto Momentum Group. It's where we help you go from idea to a live developed algo in the crypto markets and not just sitting in a backtest. Real code, real testing, and real deployment. With AI tools nowadays, you can build your first live strategy in weeks instead of years. And this is coming from someone that maybe has no coding experience at all. We give you the templates, the AI guides, and the community to actually pull it off. We've now helped tons of traders get their first algo live. Link in the description if you want to check it out and if you want my help. Now, lesson number 12 is trading is a research game. You're not actually really a trader. You're a researcher who occasionally hits buttons. Your process should really look like this. You find an edge or you're spending time researching, you then test it to see if it's real. If it is, then you deploy it, then you monitor that particular strategy, and then you iterate / repeat this whole process and find a new strategy. Additionally, now in this kind of new AI age, a lot of people are more becoming researchers and understanding that that is the whole crux of trading rather than being a trader. Your goal isn't to guess one perfect entry. Your goal is to build a process, a strategy, test it, deploy it, iterate, and continue. Lesson number 13 is automate earlier than you think you should. This is the one I would probably spend the most time kind of telling myself at 18. I waited way too long to actually deploy. I've been personally coding since I was around 12, so I've always had kind of coding skills for the most part and be able to deploy my own algos even before AI. But For whatever reason, I spent a lot of time thinking trading was just discretionary. I thought you had to have a feeling or a gut instinct and you just had to be really good at it, and that's how you're going to make money in the markets. Well, definitely that is one approach, and I've seen many great discretionary traders personally and even met them in person. But for me, that process never worked. My process was way more data, execution, developing algos and having that work for me. Additionally, every month I spent clicking buttons manually was a month of inconsistent execution, wasted money, wasted capitals, and a ton of emotional decisions as well. Primarily when I automated, it gave me three main things overnight. And one is consistent execution. I've always been terrible at execution. You can ask many of my trading friends. I'm never that great at getting a perfect entry or a perfect exit. So when I could kind of just rely on a code to do that for me, maybe it's not the perfect entry or exit, but it's good enough and it's better than what I would do, that already gave me a leg up really quickly. Two is emotional detachment. Instead of actually having to execute those trades and seeing that P&L fluctuate in person, I could just spend time researching, deploy it, kind of set it onto the side so I don't really see it, and then boom, I'm not as attached to that particular outcome. And then three, which was most important, was multiple strategies. I didn't have to rely on just one market. I could explore multiple different areas and I can deploy them all and just kind of manage them quite easily. To be honest, this was one of the biggest turning points in my particular trading career. That's why I spent so much time on this YouTube channel trying to kind of teach you guys or share my knowledge of what I've learned and what doesn't work and maybe what has worked for me personally. So if I had taken any one of these three things seriously at 18, I'd be years ahead of where I am now personally. I hope you don't have to make the same mistakes and you can learn from me personally. Even if it's just one or two of these things that change how you approach trading from here, this video has really done its job. I hope this was valuable and I'll see you in the next one. And hopefully it will be with my Dubai background instead of this crappy Asian background, but we'll see how it goes.